Hello, everybody. We are coming to you live on tape from Radio City Music Hall, celebrating the 100th episode of our little show, Dirt Nap City. My name is Alex. I'm here with my buddy Kelly. Let me set the tone for you all here. We rented out Radio City Music Hall. I'm in a tuxedo I rented from Al's former one. You like this?
Yeah. I actually happen to have a tuxedo that I got at Goodwill that I'm wearing.
Well, when Kelly says it's a tuxedo, it's actually a T-shirt that looks like a tuxedo. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those, and it's faded, so it doesn't. Thanks for dressing up, though.
The sleeves cut off, but sun's out, guns out, right?
Well, it's prom season, so I didn't get the color I wanted, but I think the baby blue is a nice touch with the ruffled dickies.
Do you have a cummerbund?
Yeah. You see my cummerbund. I got the tails. They talked me into getting the top hat and the cane.
Yeah. That salesperson at Al's, very, very good. Now, do you know what a cummerbund is for?
It's no, I'm not sure I do.
It's actually designed to catch crumbs. It's a crumb catcher. So as you're sitting there eating and the crumbs fall into your lap, the cummerbund has these little pleats that face upward, and so your crumbs all go into the. So
that'll be perfect. Yeah, because we're having biscuits.
It's biscuits and gravy on Dirt Nap City, and by the way, we've got a studio audience of invited celebrities and supporters. Sorry to our Patreon supporters and our the ones that actually pay us. We meant to get the invites sooner, but we didn't get them out in time. But believe me, we're having a great time here with this audience, and your time will come.
This audience, I'm thinking they might be here for something else, though. That's what I'm.
Right. We're just the opening act, or maybe they just got their tickets mixed up. They thought they were seeing Hamilton.
Yeah, well, we spent $98,000 to rent this building, and now I'm thinking we could have done this just at home, because that might have been a mistake. But I thought the Rockettes would be here. I only see one lady, and she's got a mop, so I don't know.
Yeah. She is dancing. She is dancing around. Well, this is our 100th episode, and Alex, did you think we'd make it when we did episode 1 when Andre the Giant was out?
For the last 100 hours, I've re-listened to all of the episodes.
Nice.
And in episode 1, which was, like you said, Andre the Giant, I made a reference to our 200th episode, and I said, I'm picturing someone who's just listened to our 200th episode, going back and listening to episode 1 and trying to see if it's, how like The Simpsons, when you watch old episodes, it's
looks
hard
a little
to watch
different.
because it's so different.
Yeah.
So Andre the Giant sounds a little different. I think the microphones are different. I think there's no like bumper music at the beginning. We go right into it, but it's not super different. We haven't changed too much. We've gotten older. We've gotten wiser.
Yeah, of course.
And a lot more knowledgeable about dead people. That's for sure.
I can tell you, we're great at parties.
We're going to reminisce today, talk about some of our favorite episodes that we've gone through. But yeah, this is our 100th episode. We've had 3 doctors. We've had 3 saints.
Ooh.
Do you know what 3 doctors off the top of your head? Do you know what 3 doctors we've had?
Well, would that be Dr. Scholl, Dr. Einstein, and Dr. Carnegie?
No, you're right, though. We've had probably more doctors I was going by their names. We have Dr. Seuss, Dr. Spock, and Dr. Scholl. Right. We have people with PhDs. We have medical doctors. You're right. We've probably got more than 3 doctors. What 3 saints do you think we have had?
We've got Valentine. We've got Mother Teresa. She was a saint, right? And we've got
4 saints.
Oh, okay. Valentine, Nicholas, and Mother Teresa, and I'm forgetting who the other one was.
St. Patrick.
St. Patrick, that's right.
So here's what I want to accomplish today. I want to count up from the least listened to episodes that and I think the important thing in doing that is if you're new to our show, there may be some that you've skipped. Now that's okay. But there may be some that you've skipped, maybe some where the title doesn't float your boat, maybe some that you aren't interested in. And we're going to try to make a case on some of these that are maybe less listened to episodes that you maybe should give it a chance because some of them are pretty good. And then we're going to count up to the most listened to episodes of all of our Dirt Nap City. So I've got a spreadsheet in front of me with plenty of information about some of my favorite things. And just like I said, kind of listening back to some of these and hearing some things that maybe missed the first time. I'm exhausted. I've just spent 100 hours listening to this show.
That's commitment. That is definitely commitment.
Yeah. Well, I never listened to them the first time. And a lot of them I forget that we even did.
Wow.
There's a few, and we'll get to them. When we get to them, I'll tell you, there's a few that not only did I forget we did, but I've actually almost done them again.
Oh, really? You're like, hey, I got an idea.
Yeah.
We should really,
that happens to me. There's two in particular on here that I've literally like planned to do it again. And I thought, well, this sounds awful familiar. Then I'll look
Jim Thorpe
done it.
Or Davy Crockett?
No.
What are the ones? Are you going to tell us as we go which ones you plan to do?
I'll tell you as we go. And some of these I don't have anything to add. Some of these I won't have anything to say, but that's okay because we've got 100 to get through and only a limited amount of time.
We've actually got 99 to get through because this is 100. This is number 100, right?
Oh, so this is be the least listened to episode.
This
because nobody's listened to it yet.
This episode, as we're recording it, is definitely the least, and there are two others that are going to have very low numbers. Last week was Enzo Ferrari. Any thoughts on Enzo Ferrari? He was kind of a son of a gun.
Enzo Ferrari. Yeah, he was a rascal, Italian rascal,
a rascioli.
If you liked Henry Ford, this will give you the opposite of Henry Ford. He was really for two guys that were in the same business. They couldn't have been more different from each other.
Yeah, for sure. And then of course Jolt Cola was the week before that, and that one has only been out for a little while. It's trending pretty well. Lots of people interested in the Jolt Cola. And the biggest takeaway from that one was, first of all, you and I almost did the same dead end, which hasn't happened yet. Remember, you were looking at doing it, and then you were like, wait a minute, I was going to do that, and you didn't, but I did. And then also for Jolt Cola, that they're going to be making it again, that it's out in 2025. You can get it at your local grocery store. And so I wish I had one right now.
I wish we had a collab, that we maybe had a Dirt Nap City edition of
sponsored by Jolt Cola. Yes.
Just our logo on the side of a can, maybe.
Too much Jolt will put you in Dirt Nap City.
Well, all those other podcasts, they have, what do they have? They have your Liquid Death, your Celsius, right?
Yeah.
So we should be sponsored by a beverage, I think, right?
Yeah, I like that. All right, I'll get to work on that for season 5.
Thank you.
Next after Jolt Cola was somebody that was right up the middle of our thing. Somebody I'd heard of but didn't know anything about. And I've heard this from several other people that have listened to it. We've got some real good fans out there. We've got Chris, we've got Al from Austin. I think neither one of them knew much about Rasputin until that episode.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah. That's what they tell me.
Yeah, I liked doing Rasputin because you hear about, I had always heard about Rasputin, didn't realize how timely, musky. I think is the way you put it.
How musky he was.
But very timely that he just kind of quietly took over. He was a real rascal too. And a great outro. I'm going to mention a lot of outros. I think if you listen to Dirt Nap City and you listen to the first few minutes, like Jody and then you fall asleep. You got to do yourself a favor and listen to the music at the end.
True.
This one in particular has a great outro by Boney M.
Boney M. Yep. We even got a copyright strike on that one because we used Boney M's song. My boy Johnny from Atlanta really liked that song, and he was blown away by the fact that when you Google it and you look it up on YouTube, it's got like 500 million views. That video does for Boney M.
It's a great song.
Not the episode about Rasputin, but the Boney M song.
Boney M, if you're listening, don't sue us, man. Come on the show.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. We'd love to see what you think about Rasputin. We could do a Rasputin Part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Rasputin, as he would call it.
Well, you know what? You said that several times. Poutine is actually French fries and cheese curds and gravy up in French Canada. So be careful of saying poutine. You know, we did have an episode before that was a real wake-up call. Like a rooster.
The wake-up call.
Yeah. If you don't know what a wake-up call is, if you're young enough to not know what that is, listen to that episode and you'll discover something amazing that us old folks used to do.
There's a great YouTube short. Let's give a quick shout out to our YouTube shorts.
Yes,
there's some beauties
and Chris,
out there.
The editor. Chris is killing them. He's doing all kinds of great things with the YouTube shorts, and we appreciate that very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're building it up. We've got like 250 subscribers on YouTube now. Did you know that?
I did, and some of those are really popular. Some of those YouTube shorts. I think what Chris does that's magic is listens to the episode and then finds a little nugget that would lend itself. That particular episode, he thought it was funny that I was so stressed out by
about making a wake up call,
right?
Being the guy that has to do the wake up call, not receive the wake up call.
So I'm the butt of that joke, but I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, the next one in terms of popularity, we're starting to get up into the low millions now, is What Were Zeppelins? What was your takeaway from our Zeppelin episode?
My takeaway from the Zeppelin is that you buried the lead, and at the very end, you just casually mentioned that you rode in the Goodyear blimp, but you had no pictures of it and almost no memory of it. That you have all these stories of things that have happened to you in the past, and that is one of the most remarkable things I've heard about you, but you almost have no memory of it and no photo evidence. And if you know Kelly, you would know that back then he was always with a camera, video camera, usually.
True.
So it's just odd
Film
that
or video,
one thing that he would actually want a camera for, he didn't have one. So that one is shady to me.
Alex, if I have to put you in touch with my mother, she'll verify. She'll verify that.
I believe you. I just don't understand why it didn't make more of an impression.
It's like that. It's like that time I didn't believe you about your coonskin cap, and your mom verified that for us. So thank you, and thank you to your mother, by the way, as being one of our sponsors. We appreciate that, and Scott as well. We've got some great sponsors that are helping us offset our cost for Buzzsprout, the platform we use to distribute. So thank you guys.
Who needs Joe Cola when you have moms, right?
Right. Well, and who needs hardwood floors when you got shag carpet, right?
Oh, is that the next one?
That is the next one, yeah.
So shag carpet is the shortest episode we've ever done. It's 13 minutes.
Yeah.
And really, it's only 10 minutes because there's a real banger of an
3
outro.
minutes of it is a song.
It's a real banger, though. I like it about a shag carpet song that says the word shag carpet a lot in the song.
Yeah.
That was a good one. If you have 10 minutes or 13 minutes, check out our thoughts on shag carpet.
Yeah, and if you also have a short amount of time, because this is a pretty quick one as well, we talked about goldfish swallowing in our next most popular episode.
Wonder why people aren't into that one.
Well, it's funny because, that one's been out for a while, and it seems like that would be something more people would want to know about, but it seems like you had to go to an Ivy League school to be a goldfish swallower.
And the thing about that one is it got kind of deep and ethical. Something so silly. It got really into like animal rights and all that. The softer side of Kelly. But goldfish swallowing, that's from September of 2024. So yeah, I got to check out the goldfish swallowing episode.
And a month later, we tackled hippies.
We not literally. We didn't literally tackle.
How often have you wanted to tackle a hippie? That's what I was about to ask.
Right. Now, that was an in-person episode. We did that together in the same room. We've done a few of those.
Yeah. Yeah, always fun.
And the outro to that was not hippie-like at all. It was our we have a few styles of outros, and in terms of the music that we play at the end, we started playing these AI-generated songs. And they kind of all sound like the same singer, but there's kind of two variations. Right. There's the guy that sounds like Nickelback. And then there's
the country guy.
And then there's the country guy that's like country auto-tune. The hippies one was a country auto-tune mess. But that's what made it so special, I think. But that was a good episode.
I create those songs, and you can usually tell how tired I am of editing that episode by how much time I spend on the song. Sometimes I just type in a prompt, and whatever it spits out, that's what it is.
Well, I love it.
But sometimes I spend a little time. So speaking of AI-generated songs, we kind of went in a weird direction with our next most popular episode. It was another dead end about believing what you hear, and how
that kind of started all that. Yeah,
one of our super fans, Chris, actually made some fake phrases, some fake voices of you and I talking, saying things we didn't actually say.
Yeah, that was cool. And that was kind of before we started the AI songs, but it was right before that. Yeah, that was kind of freaky, but very informative.
And then we went pretty retro with our next dead end. And again, these aren't in the order that we did them. These are in the order of popularity. So our 70, I don't even know which, but like one of our least popular, it's number 90 in the list, was the Columbia House Record Club, which I thought was a great episode.
Yeah, we also did that in person, and our engineer Chris had never heard of Columbia House.
Yeah. He's a little younger than us, but he never got the joy of having that record or cassette show up, or 13 of them show up, and then blaming it on your brother for ordering them, or your friend or something.
I think that's a funny thing, is that we're kind of targeted towards people our age, which is like mid-50s. So someone like Chris, who's, probably 15 years, maybe 20 years younger. I don't know how old the guy is. How old is he?
30 something.
All right. So yeah. So he's a millennial.
20 something years old. Yeah.
He I think it's fun when he learns something about our generation. It's like teaching something to a young buck.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is I think if you feel like you want to know more about what went on in the 80s or even before that, these dead ends are a great thing to learn. And also, if you just want to have something to talk about at parties, I mean, Dirt Nap City is all kinds of party talk, right? This is stuff. How cool is it to walk up to somebody at a party and say, "Hey, how much do you know about Prohibition?" Especially while you're holding a drink in your hand.
Yeah,
because that was our next episode.
Go to your car, listen to the episode, and then go right into the party. It's like a party pump, when you work out right before a party and your muscles get all swole. So Prohibition, that was another in-person one that we did. That was the longest dead end that we've had. It clocks in around 30 minutes.
No, Zeppelin's was longer.
Oh, was it?
Zeppelin's was close to an hour. Yeah. I tend to go, those were both ones that I was in the driver's seat, and I tend to go deep on those dead ends. But, speaking of hopping in your car and listening to it and maybe doing a line or two at the same time, the next one is John DeLorean.
Oh, we're John DeLorean. Down. So John DeLorean has one of my favorite outros. It's still one of those country auto-tune things, but it's a banger.
Right.
I really, really like that one.
Nice. Well, if you were around at the time of John DeLorean, you might also remember iPods, which was next. It's the next most popular.
I think it might not be popular because a lot of people still have iPods. So maybe once those become more of a thing in the past, it's too soon.
Literally, when they say too soon. Well, this is not too soon. Sundials is kind of probably our, I don't know, I'm going to say like 85th most popular episode so far. Not much to say about Sundales. That was a short episode, but that leads us right into one that we've mentioned a few times today. That's Henry Ford. And who knew what a scoundrel that guy was? Like he did some pretty shady things.
I think we did some great journalism by exposing Henry Ford for the Nazi that he was. Yeah, it was a little, 80 years later, but, we're just coming to the party late on this. He was a Nazi. He convinced a lot of people to be Nazis, but he did bring in the 5-day work week. So,
Yeah. And made cars affordable for most people. So you gotta, that's the thing is most of these people are pretty complex. They have a good side and a bad side, and you can't judge them for just one or the other. You kind of got to look at the whole picture, which is what we do on this show.
Although if someone's a Nazi, I think they're not a good person. Can I say that?
I'm going to flip it around to somebody who probably was about as far opposite of Henry Ford as you get, and that was John Lennon.
Oh, you think that's the opposite of Henry Ford is John Lennon?
Yeah. I feel like if you're looking for opposites, John Lennon and I also share a birthday, which is kind of cool.
Now that was the clue that you gave. You said, here's the clue is that he has the same birthday as me. Probably the worst clue you've ever given. Because I don't know your birthday. And even if I did, I don't know all these other people's birthdays either. But then the clue that you eventually gave was pretty easy about the glasses, I think.
Right.
You said he wears round glasses or something like that.
If you recognize his distinctive glasses, you would know. If you know, you know. And then we had next in our popularity, and this was also a October 2024 episode, and it's doing pretty well, is our pal Typhoid Mary. Now, there's one I had heard of but didn't know anything about, and Alex educated me.
Mary Mallon, right?
Yeah.
Mary Mallon. Yeah, that was one of my favorites. A lot of times people ask me, what's your favorite one you've done? This comes up a lot. The song that you put in for this one.
Yeah.
I wish that we had the money to have Billie Eilish perform that song. I think she would do a great job with that.
She would kill it. Yeah. Anything about Typhoid Mary, Billie Eilish. They go hand in hand. They're not opposites at all. If Typhoid Mary was alive today, she'd be a singer in the style of Billie Eilish for sure.
Maybe.
And you know what show she would probably be on? She'd probably be on the Carol Burnett Show, which was a variety show, another dead end from May of 2024. Now there's one that kids today probably don't understand at all. Like, what was the appeal of watching all these old people sing songs and do dances? And, I can't do this without mentioning Shields and Yarnell doing their thing, doing their pantomiming.
And I would watch those and just wait around for the comedy, like wade through all the bad music just for the comedies. That usually was
like the 3 minutes of Red Skelton. So speaking of dumb things from the past, the Pet Rock is coming in kind of in our 75-ish. What the heck was going on with Pet Rocks?
Yeah. This was one that I don't have a lot to say. I probably didn't have a lot to say then either, but it was a good reminiscing about the Pet Rock. It was really a dumb thing that we did. Not that we did.
You can still buy them.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. You can still buy them on Amazon. You can still.
Well, you know what I just saw? We're probably, when you're listening to this, we're probably into May or something, but we're recording this right around Easter time. And I saw that people are painting, because eggs are so expensive, that people are painting rocks and hiding them for Easter. And it reminded me of the Pet Rock. Lives on.
Might be time to buy stock in a Pet Rock company. You never know. It's like the new, or maybe there's a Pet Rock crypto we could come out with.
Cheaper than eggs.
But you know, one thing you can't buy or you can't get eggs for is dodo birds. They are not doing well these days.
So this is one that I keep forgetting that I did, and that I've
gonna do it again?
to. Yeah, I've come back to and almost done it again, because it's just such a like stereotypical dead end. When you think of things that aren't around anymore, it's kind of like on the flag of things that aren't around anymore. It's the dead end flag.
It's also on the flag of Mauritius, right?
Right. That's right.
The dodo bird.
Good memory.
Yeah. Well, shout out to my pal Richard, who told me about Mauritius for the first time. And if I was going to shout out to him, I might do it over CB radio. Might just pick it up and say, Breaker 19, Richard, how you doing?
Now, that was
Mauritius man.
Another great YouTube short for CB radios with the visuals of the Smokies and all that stuff. There's great animation with that.
The lot lizards. Well, now we have one that's not been out very long. It's only about 2 weeks old, but it's already like kind of becoming one of the more popular episodes pretty quickly. Because it's interesting, the longer an episode is out, the more popular it should be, by pure time, right? It has more time for more people to download it. But this one's only been out for a short period of time, and it's already ahead of all the others we've mentioned so far, and that's the Wright brothers. Now, I understand, Alex, that your mother has not listened to that one yet. What gives?
She probably has by the time we're listening to that. She was just a little tardy with the Wright brothers. I'm sure she's listened to that. A relatively long episode.
Well, in case she hasn't, Maxine, I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna give you a spoiler. They invented the airplane.
66 minutes, one of our longer, episodes, but a great bluegrass outro to the Wright brothers.
Yes.
Episode. Love that one. That's another style that we seem to have a lot of outros.
Yeah. You know what that's inspired by? Click and Clack. You remember the Tappet brothers?
Yeah, of course.
They had a bluegrass intro and outro, and I always like that. Yeah. Car Talk. I think only one of them's alive. Maybe we should, when the second one dies, maybe we should do an episode about them.
Yeah, some of these people, we just have our finger on the button, ready to go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of something that should have died a long time ago, but still exists in, I think, Sweden, is flagpole sitting. They still do that in a couple of countries.
Yeah, that was from June 2024. Kind of a weird trend that really didn't last very long, but
it was right up there with goldfish swallowing and Harvey Danger, right?
Yeah.
So drive-in movies is the next one, and that's pretty interesting. They're still around in very small numbers, but not nearly as popular as they used to be. By the way, that can be a dead end. A dead end can be something that does still exist, just not at the pinnacle of popularity that it once existed.
Yeah, I think most of the dead ends that we end up doing, it turns out there are more than we maybe think, but you just don't see them around anymore.
So the next one going up in popularity, only been out for about 3 months, and I was really proud. This is a 2025 one. It's Scratch and Sniff.
Okay. I at Christmas time, I was not able to locate that book. I thought it was just.
I thought it was 15 feet away from you. Yeah,
I thought it was too. I think it's in a box that's hard to get to, but I was excited about that. I was going to bring that to you, but I'm still working on that. Just to let you know, I'm still.
Yeah, I really want to see if those pine trees smell like pine trees.
Yeah, it's a New Year's resolution of mine that I'll have to get to.
You asked about kind of favorite episodes. I definitely really like the Scratch and Sniff. I loved when we kind of started talking about John Waters and Divine and Smell-O-Vision, and lot of tangents on that one. One that I kind of struggled with, because sometimes I take on these people that take on like amazing things in life and have done so many things, it's almost hard to narrow it down. And that was Marco Polo. That was from September of 2024. I mean, it's a good episode if you want to know about Marco Polo. I feel like I meandered a little bit in that one, but there it is. He's an interesting dead person, so he fits our category.
And a great rap AI outro to that.
True. That
where he talks about kids in the pool.
Yep.
It's nonsense. So the way the AI outros work is that, like Kelly said, you type stuff in that we had talked about in the episode. and the AI kind of grabs whatever it grabs. So it was talking about kids in a pool, but Kubla Khan. It was as confusing as you can imagine. It doesn't really give you any information, but funny.
Well, and actually, great AI song outro for Jim Thorpe, because that was kind of a heavy metal song, as I recall, like
kind of a Nickelback. That was the Nickelback one.
Okay.
In fact, we could almost revive Nickelback's career just by doing our songs.
Maybe they should just do our music for us. I'm also going to say something interesting, that Scratch and Sniff, Marco Polo, Jim Thorpe, and Sony Walkman, which is next, all have very, very similar download numbers. Like there's a period of time there about 7 months ago where people were downloading like these about the same amount. So Sony Walkman, you did the iPod, you did the Walkman. Which of those is better, by the way?
The episode or the device?
The device is what I meant.
I think the iPod's probably better than the Walkman.
Oh,
but
man.
at the time, the Walkman was probably better. Like it was more revolutionary.
There's something about the Walkman that's super cool. And then there's the America's oldest teenager, Dick Clark, from November of 2024.
This was one of my favorite episodes. Tons of dick jokes.
Yes.
Not actual dick jokes, just
giggles.
Kelly giggling at the word dick.
Yeah.
And by far my very favorite outro ever. It's about 20 seconds. It just says what Dick Clark's name was. It says what his alias was. It says that he owned some hamburger chains, and then it dips out. I can't hear it without laughing out loud every time.
And the story behind that,
if you've already listened to that episode, just listen to it, the end again. It's so funny. I don't know why it's so funny.
I tell you what happened. I put the prompt in, but I had the little checkbox for lyrics, so it thought I was putting in lyrics, and what it actually sings is the prompt that I put in, but it does it so well that it sounds intentional. Yeah.
And it was like a doo-wop, like a 50s doo-wop style. It was the kind of song that if you were at the Dick Clark restaurant, you would want it to play on a loop in the jukebox
for maybe 3 times, and then you would be ready to throw a hamburger.
It's only about 20 seconds, but it's perfect.
It also might be good for the special forces in the Middle East to use for fighting terrorists, right? You know, when they play those songs like psychological warfare.
Well, I love it. I've listened to it 10 times in the last 2 days. I swear I love it.
And in case you're wondering what a synthesizer is, another dead end that Alex, I think, came up with, kind of fit into our music and rock and roll theme a little bit about, are synths rock? Are they lame? Are they, we have a lot of opinions about synthesizers. If you want to hear them, or if you have an opinion about a synthesizer, you'll definitely want to listen to that episode.
I kind of immediately regretted that, though, because it seemed like for the next 3 weeks after I did that, all I heard was synthesizer music, like new music.
Yeah.
Not sure it's as much of a dead end as I had given it credit for at the time. I think synthesizers are still out there. My point was it used to be like a dominating lead instrument in the 80s, and now it's only used on special occasion. But it's still pretty prevalent in music today.
So the other night I went downtown and met up with my son. Jody and I went down and met up with our son and his girlfriend, and we walked through campus, kind of south towards MLK. And we walked down the street where that Gaddy's used to be, where you referenced the all you can eat. And I think now it's a Raising Cane's.
I think you might be right. It was the Wendy's that I was talking about.
Oh, the Wendy's. Yeah,
Wendy's Super Bar. All you can eat, was one of the first dead ends that we did, I think. That was in March 2024.
Yeah.
That was the one where you talked about, I think there's a great YouTube short on that too, where you talked about gum in the salad bar.
Yeah.
Salad bar. Yeah.
Now, I'll tell you, after that gum, I decided not to pay, and so I skipped out on writing a check, or paying the check in that case. But writing a check was also a dead end. People don't write checks anymore. Rarely do people write checks. This is one where it happens occasionally, but nothing like it used to, you know?
Probably my favorite YouTube short of all of them. The animation on that of the actual with the Dirt Nap City checkbook.
Yeah.
And great job by Chris creating that.
Yeah, seriously, if you're a fan of this show, the podcast, jump over to YouTube and just subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because the shorts are really they're fire. They're fire.
Usually, you see us. You can see us if you don't know what we look like. You can see us, and then usually Chris has some kind of crazy animation that kind of
they'll make you laugh,
and they're like 30 seconds.
Yeah, they're short. They're called shorts. So Vidal Sassoon is also one that was not that long ago. It's a 2025 episode. It's doing well it's charting well. It's kind of, middle of the pack as far as popularity goes, and not been out that long. There is one that I didn't know, but I have to tell you a funny story, actually, Alex, about that episode. You want to hear it?
Sure.
So the other day, Chris is over here at my house, and he's helping us work on a project. Jody and I are outside with Chris. And then this guy pulls up on a bike. He's riding down the street. And I think I told you we're moving. We're kind of packing some things in the house. And it's one of our neighbors. Chris recognized him because I mentioned him. It was my neighbor, Patrick, who I said, you were talking about like men's hairstyles. And I was saying Patrick has the best hair ever. Patrick rode up and Chris said, "You must be Patrick." And I was
no way.
Yeah. He knew.
Wow.
He remembered the Vidal Sassoon episode and remembered that Patrick was somebody we referenced, and he got to meet Patrick. And I gave Patrick a Dirt Nap City sticker, asked him to listen. I hope he's not offended by the Vidal Sassoon one, because I don't think I said anything bad.
I mean, how great is that just by seeing a guy with great hair, and that's learning, we're educating America one person at a time. Vidal Sassoon also has one of my favorite outro songs. I think I told you I would love to do a music video of that song.
Yes.
I hope that's in the cards for the next year or so.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed talking about hair with you.
Yeah. It's something we don't talk about enough. Bee stings and hair. Two
we
topics.
Probably talk about it the exact amount that we should.
So, going back to your coonskin hat cap, Davy Crockett was the next one up there. It's a 2024 episode. And like I said, Vidal Sassoon is already about to pass Davy Crockett in terms of downloads, but I thought Davy Crockett was a pretty good episode. I enjoyed the manliness of that one.
And they may go to hell and I will go to Texas.
Yes, sir. Now, another dead end that, I think everyone can agree is not something that we do very much anymore, was writing in cursive. And that one's doing pretty well. That's something that people are wanting to download right here in the middle of the pack. If you don't know or never wrote in cursive, or if you did write in cursive and you missed doing it, you'll want to listen to this. It's a trip down memory lane.
Just saw something in the news not too long ago. I think it was the state of Arkansas that is having a battle at the state level and their school board trying to figure out whether to bring back cursive in the schools. A lot of the old timers are saying they need to bring it back in the schools, and of course that sounds preposterous to anybody under 60 years old. So
it does, but actually, I think I mentioned this in the episode. There have been some studies that say people who write in cursive like live longer, have better GPAs, or get higher grades or something. There's something about writing in cursive in your brain that actually fires some things. I don't want to do it. I don't write in cursive. I'm not going to start again, but maybe it's not just a bunch of crazy old coots trying to bring it back. Maybe there's actually some science behind it. Do you know Mark Rober?
Right, well,
let's get Mark Rober in on this and see if he'll.
Let's maybe in 50 years, maybe Arkansas will lead the nation in education.
right. Instead of being number 48, they'll be number 3 or something. Arkansas, Mississippi, we're looking at you.
Which state, Arkansas?
Waterbeds. Shout out to my boy Matt Brames for.
You kind of outed him in this episode, but
the only waterbed I ever really spent any time on, not in the way you think. We would just hang out in his room. This was like 7th, 8th grade. Matt Brames, yeah. Waterbed.
I didn't know we were naming names until that episode.
Then, yeah.
All the guardrails came off.
Well, we only named dead names before, but now we're naming live names because you're playing with live ammo at that point. Litter bugs. That was one that you said disappeared. I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of trash out there, but you called it a dead end. You said, I think you stood on an aircraft carrier with a big sign that said "Mission accomplished, no more litter" or something. Did you do that?
This is the one where we learned that you knew the people behind the "No, Don't Mess with Texas."
Yeah, Litterbug didn't accomplish the mission. CD-ROMs. That was kind of the next one. That was an early one in our endeavor into dead ends. But you remember what our first dead end was?
Yeah, the first dead end was Photomat.
Yes, and that was a great one. I really enjoyed learning about what people would do and all the weird things people would do with their pictures back when
that was January of 2024. Yeah.
Dead ends are just a year old, but I like them. I really like the mix of the dead end. If you're a fan of this show, please write us, not at Dirt Nap City, and let us know if you have dead end suggestions. Let us know if you like the people or the dead ends better. Just give us some feedback. We'd like to hear from you.
Well, I think there's only a few dead ends that you haven't mentioned, which means they're some of the lower rated episodes, but really they're meant to be little little interstitials between episodes just to give ourselves a little break. It's just waltzing down memory lane. I would recommend if you go back and listen to some of these stupid dead ends.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd take the word stupid out of that if I was you.
The ones you do are stupid.
Right. Listen to Alex's dead ends. They're much better. Neil Armstrong. That one's about August of 2024. That one's doing pretty well. It's, somebody that did a big thing, one giant step, and he is definitely somebody to look up to.
87 minutes it clocks in at.
Wow.
That may be why it's not higher. I remember when when we stopped recording, Kelly said, "I know it's long, but it's freaking Neil Armstrong."
Yeah.
And a great outro that we probably got a strike for.
The
Police Walking on the Moon.
Fantastic song if you don't know that one.
Sometimes you just gotta play the hits,
Yeah. Now the next one on the list of popularity, kind of starting to get towards the top end, like the top 50%. Dr. Scholl. Now there is a classic, somebody that we've heard of but don't know much about.
Yeah. Classic. We learned about corns and bunions. We learned about foot odor. But not odor eaters. Remember?
No, different thing. And what's great about that is the next most popular one is a dead end about feet as well. It's the X-ray shoe fitter.
Yeah, that was in my feet era.
Yes.
X-ray shoe fitter is a great one because it's not a dead end that we actually experienced. It's one that I don't even think you believed when I first told you about.
My mom remembered him. She had seen them before.
That's how I learned about it, was from my mom.
Yeah. Shout out to the moms. And then starting off I think it was our first episode for 2025. It's doing pretty well. Teddy Roosevelt, kind of the most
season 4 premiere.
Badass president we ever had.
Yep, 68 minutes. Now the outro to that was interesting. It was Teddy Roosevelt's speeches with kind of lounge music background.
Yeah. That one was an actual speech by Teddy Roosevelt. I put the music on it. Yeah,
you put the music in.
Yeah, just to make it a little more weird and interesting.
Kind of like hotel lounge. Upscale hotel lounge with Teddy Roosevelt. Yeah, kind of a cool thing.
Very modern sounding music with very old sounding recording. Before that, or next on our popularity list from 2024, summer of 2024, we hooked up with Jarrett Berenstein. I forgot if it's Stein or Steen, but he's a comedian based in Los Angeles, I think. And he and Alex and I kind of talked about Andy Kaufman, all we knew about him.
Yeah, only episode where there's somebody other than the one we just heard. This episode has featuring your son.
Yeah, right.
That was 73 minutes of the three of us talking about Andy Kaufman, and featured a shout out to one of our listeners. Do you remember who the listener was?
Who? No.
Pink Phlox.
Pink Phlox. That's right. Pink, are you still there? We haven't heard from Pink Phlox in a while.
Hopefully, Pink, you're still with us.
Now,
if not, next episode might be Pink Phlox. Hopefully not.
We also want to know what you thought about the dynamic of having a third person, like a guest on with us. I've heard positive and negative about that from a few different people. So let us know. Send us a note, not@dirtnapcity.com, not@dirtnapcity.com, and let us know what you think about having a guest. And if you like it, maybe it could be you.
And Jared, if you're listening, it's nothing personal about you. If it might be that that you should host this show, and I should.
Jarrett's not listening, but if you are,
you think that was a one and done? That was the only episode.
I don't know. I should reach out and just say hi. I thought he was great. I thought Jarrett was pretty funny. Not as funny as we thought a comedian would be. A little more politically charged, but he had good energy. I enjoyed talking to him. Now, speaking of good energy, this guy was a real Casanova. This was a summer of 2024 as well for popularity. And again, we're definitely in the top half of our episodes at this point. But Casanova, that's one that I definitely had heard of but didn't know much about.
It was our first parental discretion notice that we'd ever had. And the first use of the AI song.
Oh, Casanova was. Okay. Wow. Well, I'll tell you.
And we could have used the song. We could have. There's songs about Casanova.
Sure.
But I think you had just found out about that AI app, and you were real excited to use it. So.
Yes. I feel like unless it's like a song that just really fits, like the Boney M or Walking on the Moon or some of those, like the Flagpole Sitta, we had to use that, right? But unless it was just right up, made for it, then I like using the AI songs.
Sure.
Now, part
of copyright free, by the way.
Yes, we get free and clear on those. Part of what we want to do on this show is make friends and influence people. And our buddy Dale Carnegie is great at that. That was one from last summer as well. I thought that was a really good episode. I enjoyed Dale Carnegie.
This is the one that I always forget that I did. When I'm sitting around thinking about new ones, I usually will think, I should do is Dale Carnegie. And I've done it. And then I sit down and I start to look at it and I think, I've already done this. Done that a few times. I've had a few false starts back with Dale Carnegie. Also a great AI country outro to this one.
Right.
But yeah, Dale Carnegie, I thought would be fun to talk about with you because he had a lot of thoughts about, influencing people and just how you get through life and networking and all the kind of stuff that I think that you're interested in. So that was fun to talk about with you.
So last season, we wrapped up season 3 with Charles Dickens on December 19th. And that episode's doing pretty well, considering it's only about 4 months old.
Yeah, it was one of those joint episodes where we both know who it's going to be.
We both smoked a joint.
We got a diversion, though. One thing that happened as a result of the Charles Dickens episode is that we mentioned Uriah Heep as a character, a Charles Dickens character. And then for the next month, Kelly and I offline texting back and forth, got really into Uriah Heep, the band, for a few weeks.
A couple of good songs. Yeah, I had never really listened to him. So that was a unexpected blessing from Charles Dickens. God bless us, everyone. So now, kind of getting up into fewer of the dead ends, but there's still a few more that are pretty popular. And this one, I'm kind of surprised how popular it is. It's drinking fountains. What were drinking fountains? You don't really see them in public much anymore.
Well, I see. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I see them everywhere I go. But you were calling them bubblers, I believe.
Yeah. The bubblers were something that was kind of specific to a certain city. I don't recall if that was, where was the bubblers? Go back and listen to the episode if you want to know where they called them bubblers. But yeah, drinking fountains was a dead end that I thought was appropriate because most people now have water bottles or don't really use public drinking fountains because of germs.
I suppose.
And then there is one that I'm always like floored that it's not more popular. It's kind of, like I said, right here in the middle of the heap towards the top half, but it's also a pretty old episode, and that's Mr. Rogers. And this is one where, you said there's a few things I've revealed about myself to you on these shows about riding in the Goodyear blimp, riding in a Ferrari, meeting Mr. Rogers. I got to meet Mr. Rogers, and so I just wanted to pay tribute to the man.
And if you look on wherever you get your podcasts, the thumbnail picture for that episode is a picture of Kelly and Mr. Rogers. Kelly is a young man.
Yep. And Mr. Rogers on the piano. Now, the next one is Johnny Appleseed. And it's kind of funny that Mr. Rogers and Johnny Appleseed are right in the same kind of area as far as popularity goes. Now, Johnny Appleseed's only been out 11 months. Yeah, they could be.
They'd probably be roommates in Dirt Nap City, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I think they'd hang out in a brotherly kind of way, just like you and me. Johnny Appleseed's been out less than a year. It was last May. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, whereas Mr. Rogers is more than 2 years old. But Johnny Appleseed is an interesting one because I think that is something a lot of people have heard of but don't necessarily know much about.
And great outro by Joe Strummer and the Mescaleros.
That was a song that just had to be played that fit.
Yeah. But that's a good episode, Johnny Appleseed.
Yeah, solid one. So this one was one of our first episodes, The Pilgrims. This is one where Alex broke the rules for the first time.
Yeah, it was the first one that I'd done more than one person. I'm not sure how I came across in that episode. I mean, I know these days it's not fashionable to say you came over on the Mayflower, but that's my story, that's my origin story. And that I'm related to the boy who fell off the Mayflower, who wasn't really a boy. I think he was 28 years old.
Yeah.
Fell off the Mayflower. It was fun to talk about that. I think if you haven't listened to the Mayflower episode, the Pilgrims episode, you're missing the full picture. That's my origin story.
Save it for November. You can listen to it. We see a spike every November. That's what we're hoping for. But speaking of spikes, our second most popular dead end that we've done so far, and we've only been doing them for a little over a year, was riding in the back of a pickup truck. Like people like that one. I don't know why, but that seems
so. Now I know what the most popular dead end is. Then interesting. Yeah. So as we go through, there were Siskel and Ebert, another one where Alex broke the mold and did two people. But I kind of get why, like the Wright brothers, you can't have one without the other, at least in popular culture. And unfortunately, they both died. So my favorite part about that episode was the audio drop of them bickering.
Right.
And one of them calling the other an asshole. I think it's very, very good.
I wish he had called him Nostradamus.
Is that the next one?
That's next in the list. Yep. Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
This was a live one. Yep. We did this in the studio. And I enjoyed those sessions, actually. That I think we did Einstein that day too.
Also, did you know that was the first episode where we went at the beginning, we said the show about interesting people who happen to be dead. And then that's the first episode where we said interesting dead people.
Oh, yeah. A lot more streamlined. I like that better than happen to be dead. Let's see here. I'm getting another call, but I'm not going to answer this one. So here's a surprise. Mata Hari is killing it. Mata Hari is getting way up in the stats, is doing great. A lot of people seem to like that episode. and have downloaded it, and that's right there with the ones that I don't know much about, but have heard of, and I learned a lot. I enjoyed that episode.
March of 2025.
Yep.
I got to talk about Mata Hari, the Lancelot Link character.
Yep.
We introduced the concept of somebody having severe looks.
Yeah, that's been a recurring theme.
People seem to really grasp onto the idea of somebody having severe looks. I've had people talk to me about that. And a great Nickelback outro, not really Nickelback, but our fake Nickelback group about Mata Hari.
Yep. If you haven't heard that one, but you probably have because it's pretty popular. There's another one that is a little bit older, but is also doing pretty well in the popularity is The Gentleman Pirate. Now,
The Gentleman Pirate.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of his real name now.
Stede Bonnet.
Yes, Stede Bonnet. By the way, I don't know. I think we must have talked about this, but there is an HBO show called Our Flag Means Death, and it's about the Gentleman Pirate, and it's absurdist humor. I watched the first season of it. I enjoyed it. It had some moments. It got a little tiresome after a while, but pretty funny if you like really absurd humor, like Flight of the Conchords kind of humor.
I'm surprised that episode's doing as well as it did, because I don't think Stede Bonnet is a household name, not like Blackbeard.
No, but Gentleman Pirate is intriguing, right? It's like you think of pirates as scoundrels and scallywags, and they're going to kill you and cut your leg off and have their parrot poop on you. They're going to do all those things, but this guy was a gentleman. He didn't do that sort of thing.
And that's right in your wheelhouse. You love, if I've learned anything, I've learned you love inventors and you love explorers. And he was an explorer, but not great at it. He had
flawed explorer.
Flawed explorer. That's what makes him kind of interesting.
Yeah.
He was like a pirate wannabe, right?
Pirate wannabe. I'm a pirate wannabe.
Yeah, well, I think you are.
If we jump into the next most popular episode, it is part 2 of our 2-part series is Rock and Roll Dead. Now, this happened after we visited the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we really spent some time thinking about this. Is rock as we knew it as when we were younger still around? I tried to get Rick Beato to join this show. He was busy. I tried to get Dick Clark, but he was dead. And so, it was really just Alex and I talking about rock and roll. Part 2, I think a lot of people, part 1 was more popular, but I think part 2 is where we got really deep with it. Like got into the real nitty gritty.
Yeah. And the fun part about the rock and roll episodes is we play a lot of music.
Yeah.
In it, a lot of short segment parts of music. We really just started talking. We had to chop it into 2 parts because we talked for like 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah.
But that part 2 is 73 minutes. It ends with the Golden Shower of Hits.
Right. From Circle Jerks.
Which is a song that Kelly and I used to listen to in college. Brought back a lot of good memories. When people ask me my favorite ones that we've done, this is definitely the rock and roll ones are definitely on my list. It was the most fun to do, I think.
Nice. Yeah. Very, and going to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you're into that, I was pleasantly surprised at how cool that place was, and enjoyed the trip with you and Al from Austin. The next one up, kind of a surprise. I think you were very surprised when I started talking about Satchel Paige, because I'm not normally a sports guy, but my mom wanted me to do Satchel Paige. She really, I think thinks a lot of him and thought he would be interesting, and he was very interesting. The names of his throws, the Troubler and the Slipping On In or whatever they were called. I mean, he had some interesting pitches and had names for all of them.
And were you shocked? I'm a sucker.
Were you shocked when I said Satchel Paige?
Yeah, a little jealous too, because I usually stay away from the sports ones. But I'm a sucker for stories about the Negro Leagues because most of them can't be verified, so a lot of them are embellished. But they're modern too, so it's not like you're hearing tales from a long time ago, but I love the story about how he called his outfielders in and had them sit in the infield because he was so confident.
Right.
And he just
threw a
struck out the
strikeout.
side.
Yeah, threw
Yeah,
strikes.
awesome.
Yeah. Well, another guy with a lot of confidence and probably bigger than life personality was Merv Griffin.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the song that Merv Griffin sang that ended this episode? That was like his big hit.
I don't. What was it?
It was called "I've Got a Lovely Bunch of Coconuts."
Oh, that's right. I remember it now. Yes.
Yeah, put him on the map, I think.
Another one that's worth it just for the song. Now, Julia Child, definitely a pioneering woman, didn't become famous until she was in her 50s, and very distinctive voice, very distinctive everything, really. I enjoyed that one. I thought Julia Child was somebody that I didn't know much about until I did some research, and I hope people kind of saw her in a new light.
And you started the episode by trying to hello in her voice.
Hello! Yes.
Yeah. Cracked it a little bit. Yeah.
I can't even do it right now.
That was from November of 2023.
Yeah, over a year ago. One of the saints, Saint Valentine. This might have been our first saint. Was Saint Valentine our first saint, or was Saint?
Yes, it was, and it was a joint episode where we both knew that we were doing it.
It is interesting on these saints, and especially ones that are associated with holidays, to see a little bit of a spike as the holiday rolls around. To see the stats go up. All right, so after we talked a little bit about, well, again, these aren't in order; these are in order popularity. We just recently gave a shout out to Chef Boyardee during the Enzo Ferrari episode. Those two, I think if you listen to one, you have to listen to the other. If you're going to learn about Chef Boyardee, you need to learn about Ferrari and vice versa. They're both Italian. And who was it that would say, "That's Italian"? Was that a Chef Boyardee thing? Or maybe it was ragu spaghetti sauce. And speaking of ragu spaghetti sauce, Betsy Ross, she actually didn't sew the American flag, but here's what was cool about the Betsy Ross episode. We recorded that months before we published it. This was our first one where we got strategic during season 2 and said, hey, we've got this. We should sit on this until July 4th or thereabouts.
We banked that for months.
Yeah, we published it in the end of June so that on July 4th, everybody would be Googling Betsy Ross, and boom, up she came, and she's been popular ever since.
And she's a fraud.
But someone who wasn't a fraud, but also another very powerful and interesting woman, Eleanor Roosevelt. The Roosevelts have ducked in and out of Dirt Nap City, the show, hundreds of times at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. All the Roosevelts.
Yeah. They all seem to be connected to other people in this show. If it weren't for the Roosevelts, there wouldn't be a Dirt Nap City, I don't think. Now, one of our most recent citizens, people to move to Dirt Nap City, moved there in 2023, I think, Jerry Springer.
Oh, yeah. I think that is the most recent one that we have done.
Yeah.
It was the first episode that we ever ended with a song. Prior to that, it was just our bumper music.
Yeah.
That was July 2023. And the song that you used was Jerry Springer himself singing a country ditty.
That's right. For those of you that didn't know, Jerry Springer did release an album in the style of, say, William Shatner. Well worth a listen, that episode. If you want to get away or get scared, like either escape or be scared, you'll want to check out our Halloween special in 2022 with Harry Houdini. Now, he had some scary stuff going on.
2022.
Yeah.
My favorite line from that was you said that he was blurring the lines way before Robin Thicke.
Yes, that was clever. Benjamin Franklin from July 4th. Again, another one that we put out on July 4th to get the Patriots involved. Ben Franklin was so much more than just the guy with the kite and the key. I mean, I learned a lot about him. I learned that I think his father was a chandler, which was somebody who uses makes wax out of rendered lard.
But more importantly, he wrote an essay on flatulence.
He did. He was a comedian. That guy was funny. We've tried, I don't know that we've always done a great job, but we have tried to be a little bit diverse on the show, not always just have old white guys. We want to have some diversity, and so hopefully we can keep doing a good job of that, or do an even better job of that in the future. I do remember thinking to myself when we did this one that she is truly one of the greatest people on here, and certainly of the women that we've done, I think probably the most interesting, and that was Amelia Earhart.
Oh yeah. It was a great episode and a great outro by the Country Gentleman.
That's right. That was another little bluegrass ditty, right?
But a real one, not an AI. Yeah.
Yeah. No, a real one. Well, they're all real in their own way. But speaking of something that wasn't real, there were these guys that created these cartoons called Hanna-Barbera. And that was an interesting one. I didn't know anything about those guys other than the work they had done, and I knew the name.
Bill and Joe. Yeah, that was our season 3 premiere. Jumped right into it in
2024.
January of 2024. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the next one on the list in terms of popularity, and we're getting up there. These are the ones that are getting billions of views, billions with a B, billions of downloads, and we're still not full-time podcasters yet. What's up with that? We need some sponsors. Most popular dead end we've done to date is only 2 months old. I mean, it's been on a rocket ride. It's Vinegar Valentines.
Unbelievable. So much more popular than the other dead ends. I had never heard of Vinegar Valentines prior to this. I think you might have made it up, but that's okay. We got downloads out of it.
Yeah, no, I didn't make it up. I wish I could say I did, but they were Valentines that insulted you. And if you want to, if you hate Valentine's Day as much as I do, you should definitely listen to that episode. It's a definite irreverent look at Valentine's Day and all the stupidness that goes on around it. If you're going to jump off a cliff, what are you going to yell, Alex?
Geronimo.
That's right.
Our season 2 premiere.
Yep.
And where you said we were going to jump right into it, literally.
Yep.
And I guessed Eddie Van Halen.
Oh, you did. That's right.
I've guessed him a few times.
Yeah, someday. So we've got one next that I definitely had never heard of, but was glad to learn about. And that's another sports person, Babe Dietrichson Zaharias. From October of 2023.
Yeah. I think this might be one of your favorites, right?
I like this episode a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And ends with the great song by Babe herself.
That's right. She and another woman, I think, did a little duet or harmonica. Maybe one of them played the harmonica and one sang, as I recall.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We did have a short in there that was more of a primer or a promo for another podcast called It's My Screen Time 2 that we did. Actually, that was our first collab, the Screen Time one. But that wasn't on our show. That was on theirs.
Right.
Who was Willy Wonka? Now, Willy Wonka, fictional character, but it was kind of fun. We all went to see the Wonka movie, and then we talked about it on their podcast. It's My Screen Time 2. If that podcast is still going on, you should check it out and listen to the episode where Alex and I talk about Willy Wonka. Great times. Now, P.T. Barnum was one of those people that I only knew from the circus, and that was kind of the main crux of him, but Alex educated me about a lot of other things on P.T. Barnum, and I think you should check it out if you want to know more.
Yeah, and we talked about some of his cast of characters too, like Tom Thumb and Grizzly Adams, and the real Grizzly Adams. That was fun. P.T. Barnum.
That was. You can't go wrong with circus people. I think it might have been the first, maybe the second or third saint that we did, but actually a real saint, and that was Mother Teresa. We did that for the Mother's Day special. We're coming up on Mother's Day again here pretty soon. I'm expecting to see a big spike in downloads of the Mother Teresa episode.
Also had a big discussion on bluebonnets on that episode. I don't know.
Yeah. They're not great this year. I'll say they were much better last year, in my opinion.
Well, this was 2 years ago. This was Mother Teresa was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's right. Now, here's an episode that we refer back to pretty often these days for some reason, whether it's talking about pigeons or whether it's talking about musky stuff. It's Nikola Tesla.
Yeah. That was a tough one to plan because I didn't really want to get into the science of it all. But once I find out how crazy he was with the pigeons and the death ray and the yearly press conferences on his birthday, he ended up being my kind of guy. That I right in my wheelhouse.
Crazy and electric. Well, speaking of crazy and electric, Ray Kroc, a man who didn't found McDonald's but grew it to what it is today. Really interesting story about him. Definitely worth a listen if you want to know anything about business and fast food in America.
And has a great review of McDonald's by
by my daughter.
By Kelly's daughter when she was like 5 years old or something.
Yep, second grade. Mick disgusting. The next one in terms of popularity is about a year old, and it's Bob Marley. I definitely enjoyed doing a little research and learning more. I finally saw the biopic about Bob Marley. Really enjoyed that as well. But just kind of truly a legend and someone that while we didn't get too much into his music, more about his life. It's too bad that he died as young as he did, because I think he'd still be doing great things.
And I think the episode came out around the same time as the movie too, but you haven't seen
that's
it
right. Yet. That's right. Evel Knievel is the next most popular, and Evel, that's one we talk about all the time.
For sure. We learned about Awful Kanoffel.
That's right. One. This was season 1. These were the early days.
That was one of the first episodes. That was
episode 4,
November of 2022. But a great one. One.
Agreed. Howard Hughes, somebody that flew things and was kind of crazy. You talk about crazy as a reoccurring factor here, but that was our season 3 February episode. I definitely enjoyed researching Howard Hughes, read a book about him, and learned a lot of things, and still very much in awe of the Spruce Goose. If you ever get a chance to see that airplane, it is pretty amazing.
That was a 76-minute episode, and 68 minutes in, you said, I could go on another hour about this guy.
Yeah, true. And same thing with Thomas Edison. I mean, another guy that you could talk about for a long time and not run out of stuff to say. Inventor, American pioneer, businessman, as well
Wizard
as
of Menlo Park.
That's right. And another guy that was also kind of a businessman, different kind of business, Al Capone. That was from last December, and that one's tracking pretty well in a short period of time.
Sure.
St. Nicholas, one of our saints, and I loved the beginning of that one. I loved how it started with this kind of spooky story. If you haven't heard that one, it might have been a better Halloween special than Christmas special, but it starts off kind of spooky and then goes from there.
And we talked a lot about the Yule Lads.
The Yule Lads, yeah. If you don't know who the Yule Lads are, you'll want to listen to the St. Nicholas episode to learn, because they're a lot of fun. We got some mileage out of those this past Christmas with texts and pictures. Somebody that we did about a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, Napoleon Bonaparte, and ended that one with the song by Phoenix called Napoleon Says. I love that
Great song.
Yeah.
Great song, great band. I really like them.
I do too. Dr. Spock, that was one about rearing children, not Mr. Spock from Star Trek, but Dr. Spock, the guy who tells you how to raise children. If you got kids, you're going to want to hear that episode.
Yeah.
Another saint, St. Patrick. That's another one that we kind of put around a holiday. We put it out in mid-March. And it's done really well, and lots of interesting stuff. I mean, St. Patrick, I think, has all kinds of tall tales and legends about him, but you and I really kind of dug in and figured out the nitty-gritty of it, who he really was.
And a great song to end it, It's a Great Day for the Irish.
Yes, that's right. A classic old song, kind of an oldie but goodie. Now, one that we did in season 2 that I probably was one of the first most epic long ones that I ever did, but I think a lot of people enjoyed, was Ernest Shackleton. This episode has been in the top, 25% of our downloads for a long time because, man, that guy going to Antarctica, going to the Arctic, exploring, they don't make them like that anymore.
Talked about the Nimrod.
Yeah, that's the name of his ship. And I think Nimrod is also a hunter.
And Miss Chippy. Remember his
Chippy
cat?
The cat, yeah, who was a male cat, but they called her Miss Chippy. Called him Miss Chippy.
Him, yeah.
Yeah, and that's before people used pronouns. Had the pronouns in their signature, so they weren't sure with Miss Chippy. Rock and Roll Dead Part 1 is up here, so it's quite a bit more popular than is Rock and Roll Dead Part 2. And I think that's because it's Part 1. A lot of people listen to Part 1, but not Part 2.
Not to be confused with the Gary Glitter song, Rock and Roll Part 1.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And a reminder, if you like the Rock and Roll episode, there's a Spotify playlist with every song that we talk about.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. You can find it in the description of that episode. If you want to know about Wealthy Dudes, this was like the OG of Wealthy Dudes, or one of the OGs, at least in America. John D. Rockefeller is our next one. That was from 2023, and really interesting character. A lot of stuff going on with that guy.
He said he aged backwards. We talked a little bit about his whether or not his Nelson Rockefeller got eaten by cannibals. Also,
yeah,
remember?
And he used to hand out nickels and dimes to kids.
And it was a farthing.
And was a little bit handsy with the ladies at times after his wife died. Apparently,
yes.
I guess when you get old, that's what you do.
I think that's what we said then.
So now we're on to this is the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Top 10 episodes in terms of popularity. A couple of these are some oldies but goodies that have been around for a while, so they've had some time to baste in the goodness of Dirt Nap City and be downloaded a lot. Our second episode, Colonel Sanders, is killing it. Great episode.
I really liked that episode. It was the first one that I had ever done. That was my
your creation.
But I think my creation. I think I established early on what my lane was going to be, and Colonel Sanders is right in the middle of that lane.
Yeah, and the wallpaper, or the gravy tastes like wallpaper paste. That's my takeaway from that episode.
Great stuff.
And now here's one that just came out of nowhere. Literally 2 months old, is already number 9 out of our top 100, and that's the Flying Wallendas. And I would have never guessed that this episode would be so popular, only because I think
it's great.
I barely heard of them. There's somebody that was like, I know the Flying Somebody or another's, but maybe that's what works. Maybe because they were a little more obscure, people actually wanted to learn, or maybe just the adjective flying, in there that kind of describes what they do. I don't know. That one is our most popular, most recent episode.
But hey, aren't they interesting dead people?
100%. And they're not all dead, actually. Some of them are still alive.
But they're all on borrowed time.
Yeah. They're playing with fire. Jim Henson, who really deserves to be in the top 10, number 8. If you like the Muppets and you like Sesame Street, you can thank Jim Henson.
That was the first episode where I said, "Hello, everybody."
Wow. Well, you're pulling out some facts that I didn't even know, so that's great. That's kind of become your your signature introductory thing. I guess if we ever were to do this live, that's how we would have to start the show.
Yep. T-shirts, the whole thing. Yeah.
Trademarks. Dr. Seuss is number 7.
This is great. We had I had the poem. This was the first one that we had done a joint episode on. We trashed P.D. Eastman a little bit.
Yeah, we did. Go dog, go.
But this was the end of the season 1. It was a big finale, season 1 finale. It's one of my favorites as well.
There's only 9 episodes in season 1 because we started in October and we decided that our fiscal calendar would follow the regular calendar.
Okay, yeah.
Dr.
Our
Seuss.
accountants made that decision.
Yeah. It has to do with our donations and taxes and all that stuff. So one of my favorite episodes that we recorded live and I think is just really funny but also really informative was Albert Einstein from season 2.
Yeah, we did that. You're right. We did that in person. You tried a hello, everybody, in that one, but I think abandoned it.
Yeah. I that's not my thing. My thing is just biting sarcasm all the time. Number 5 is Andre the Giant, episode 1, season 1, episode 1. Yep.
No music, no intro music, no outro music. Just
thumbnail looks a little different. Yeah, we were still finding our way there.
But a great episode. I was a little embarrassed that I didn't. You said, just name a wrestler, and I think I said Junkyard Dog.
And I think I said name a wrestler, not a wrestler.
Yeah, but I that established very early that I don't know everybody.
Wrestling.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So season 2, we released this one, and this is, I think, the only one where we both had the same idea. Is that right? Was it Walt Disney that we both, or was it a different one?
Walt Disney. Did we coincidentally have the same idea?
We did there was one episode where that happened, and I thought it was Walt Disney.
I thought that was Dr. Seuss.
Oh, you're right. It was Dr. Seuss. You're right.
Disney, the one I remember was that we talked about Banksy and Dismal Land.
Yes. The
dark
performance art. Yeah.
Yeah.
So another one that's not too old. It's from August of 2023, but is kind of doing real well in the stats. At number 3 is Howard Cosell. Who knew? Oh
yeah. There's another one that you didn't know a lot about. We used a lot of audio drops in that one.
We did. And he was not only sportscaster, but he also was and kind of tied into the John Lennon episode because he's the one that broke into the football game to tell the world that John Lennon had been shot.
Absolutely.
And then one that just continues to just surprise the heck out of me because I didn't like this episode. It just is not one of my favorites, if I'm being honest. But it's number 2, so it's probably good. Maybe I'll listen to it someday. Joseph Pilates.
Well, Kelly, you weren't the only one that didn't like it. We got a 1-star review from JML 2014. It said, I've only listened to one episode, so I can't speak for the entire show. So I'll just speak on this one episode. This episode titled, Who is Joseph Pilates? Has tons of missing or wrong information. Why hold an episode on a topic you know so little about? So, I'm a little bit of an internet sleuth, and I wanted to see if JML 2014 had opined on anything else out there.
Yeah.
So there's 2 JML 2014s that I could find. One was a guy who was like maybe in high school or 8th grade and hadn't really tweeted anything out since 2014. A fella, probably not him. He mostly talks about rodeo and his girlfriend.
Fair.
But there was a woman who has the same JML 2014 who the only thing she's ever talked about besides our episode on Joseph Pilates was she talked about how she has a cracked Nest doorbell.
Wow.
So there was 2 things that motivated her to get a username and get out there and
you think
be
it was
pissed
her?
off.
You think it was her?
Cracked doorbell and our episode on Joseph Pilates.
Wow. Haters gonna hate. Yeah, well, I kind of agree with her. It was a terrible episode. Don't listen to it. Stop.
Oh my gosh.
Stop listening to it. No, I'm kidding.
I loved it.
I'm kidding. Well, I guess maybe I'm just wanting to defend my position at the top for having the top episode, a number 1, drum roll, please. I'm Henry VIII, I am. Henry VIII, I am. I got married to the widow next door. She's been married 7 times before, and everyone was an Henry, 'cause she wouldn't have a Willie or a Sam. Everyone was an Henry. Henry VIII, I am. Number 1. You think that has to do with the...
How about that?
You think that has to do with the musical 6?
I don't know. We talked a lot about the musical 6 in that. And it was, a great episode. Really got into the royalty of it all, got into a lot of the nuts and bolts. Just a very interesting dead person. I don't know why it's number 1, but I'm okay with that. So let me give you a little treat here as we're coming up to the end here.
Please.
Some of these episodes have transcripts. Some don't, some do. I put the transcript to this episode because I figured it was number 1. I put it into our old buddy ChatGPT.
Okay.
And I asked it to kind of, talk about Dirt Nap City and what it thought as this kind of our most popular episode, and asked it to give me some notes on it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it says, I'll just give you some highlights of what ChatGPT says. And maybe this is, speaking for everyone, this may be a good way to wrap it up. It says that based on the transcript, Alex comes across as the voice of the audience, skeptical, grounded, and quick with humor. And it said, Alex is the wry, W-R-Y, the wry realist, sarcastic, casual, and inquisitive. He's the guy who listens to history, raises an eyebrow, and says, "Wait, what?"
Wow, that's
it says
fairly accurate.
I provide comic relief and sanity checks, and I'm not afraid to admit what I don't know. And then I bring pop culture analogies to the table, which adds a modern hook to historical contents. Alex is the relatable one. He's not teaching history, he's reacting to it. The dynamic works really well alongside Kelly, who dives deep and brings the historical facts. Kelly is the enthusiastic historian, passionate, knowledgeable, and a bit dramatic in the best way. He's the guy who read the 12-hour audiobook and actually took notes.
Yes, I did.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Pretty spot on. It says
that was like a 32-hour audiobook, by the way, not 12.
It says you keep things moving with structure and stories, and you nerd out apologetically, which gives the show heart and substance. Kelly is the podcast's intellectual anchor. He's the reason you walk away knowing things you didn't even know you wanted to know. And his excitement is contagious. You can tell he really loves this stuff. So if the show were a buddy movie, Alex is cracking wise in the passenger seat while Kelly's at the wheel, enthusiastically pointing out every weird and wonderful roadside attraction along the way. And then it asked me if I wanted a tagline. And it said that Kelly's is digging up the past one obsession at a time. He's the guy who reads the entire royal lineage for fun and lives for a good beheading anecdote.
Okay.
And it says, for me, calling BS on history, respectfully. He's here for the drama, the dirt, and to ask, wait, how did this guy have 6 wives and still die thinking he was awesome? And it said, if you want a tagline for the show, Dirt Nap City, history's graveside gossip, where the past gets roasted one dead legend at a time.
Whoa, that's pretty long, but not too far off. Yeah. So, well, first of all, congrats for doing that, and I think I agree with many of the things that were said. But I'm gonna say, I wouldn't even call it my own defense, but in as a counterpoint, I think if you fed it the transcript of a different show where you were the expert and I was the wisecracker, it would throw those things around, because I do think we reverse roles. Someone's got to keep the show moving, tell the facts, hit the high points, educate, and then someone's got to jump in and make the jokes, ask the silly questions, go, oh, what, And so I think, for instance, Dick Clark, I'd love for you to take the Dick Clark episode, get a transcript, and run that through ChatGPT, ask the same prompts, and see what it says.
It would probably say, this guy makes a lot of, why does he giggle so much when we say the word dick?
And I would just say, who doesn't? Who doesn't? Well, Alex, hey, man, I got to say thank you for sticking with this and helping me get this off the ground. This was something we'd been talking about, doing something like this for a long time. The name, I'm also going to tell you real quick, the name came from my buddy Chris Justice, his father. You've heard this story many times, I'm sure, Alex, but his father said all his friends were in Dirt Nap City. And when I heard it, I was like, oh my goodness, this is going to be something. And here it is.
Thank you so much. This has been a real fun diversion for me. If you don't know, we have jobs in real life. This isn't our full-time gig yet. But it's a real fun hobby. I love doing it. I love talking about, how many of us get to just hang out with our friends and spend an hour talking about, Joseph Pilates or
right.
Ray Kroc or Mata Hari.
Yeah.
It's not something that's
or
that
riding
common.
the back of a pickup truck. So many things. So please, audience, we feel like we're building an audience here. We're building a community. We'd love to hear from you. Send us a note, not at Dirt Nap City. We would just, even if you just say hello, we appreciate our regular listeners who always do comment and send us little texts if they know us that well. Your support's really appreciated. Knowing that people are actually listening to this and getting something out of it. I think I'd say we're 75% entertainment and 25% education. What do you think? Other way around? Depends on the episode, I guess.
Yeah, Joseph Pilates, apparently we didn't know what we're talking about, but take that up with JML 2014.
Yes.
It's not like we're lying to you guys.
We've got a lot more coming this season in 2025, and we're going to keep doing this as long as you guys keep listening. And, if you're a company or someone with lots of money and you want to sponsor us, you better jump on the wagon now, because these episodes are just getting bigger and bigger and more downloads, and pretty soon you won't be able to afford us.
Talking to you, Jolt. Talking to you, Ferrari.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
History's quirks in bright cascade, Henry's wives and royal spree, Joseph Pilates shaping me. Chef Boyardee with a pasta dream, Enzo's engines roaring steam, Amelia soaring past the cloud, Mr. Rogers makes us proud. Dirt Nap City where the stories spin, legends laugh while the tales begin, 100 lives that make us grin, history's weird and we're diving in. Napoleon short yet standing tall, Cleopatra ruling over all, Tesla's bolts ignite the sky, Einstein winks with his quirky eye. Hear the whispers through the mic, echoed quirks we never strike, our top hats off to history's beat, in Dirt Nap City it's a funky feat. Dirt Nap City where the story